Pisces. Good morning. It's me, March. Welcome in. We have come to be nosy and take a peek at what is going on with you right now. We are going to use the Botanical Dream Oracle, which I just got in my collection, and this Blessings card, Pisces, card number 21, Blackjack, with these gorgeous poppies. They have been popping up everywhere all morning. There is actually a single poppy just growing outside of my house. It literally just perked up overnight. And so I think there's a really good sign that kind of blessings are on their way. The wheel is starting to turn for you. Jupiter is now in Cancer, and Jupiter is traditionally your ruling planet. So I do feel like you're entering into a kind of a come up. It feels as though the energy is starting to work with you, and there's definitely a sense of recovery. I wonder if you've been receiving messages about double for your trouble, gaining back lost time, things like that, because this energy of recovery seems to be in relation to that which you had and was lost, or that which was expected and really worked for but not obtained, because there were blockages, because there were cleansings, because there was growing to do before you got to become the happy recipient of whatever it is you've been trying to manifest or work towards in your life. One of the really standout visualizations that I was given when I entered into your energy was someone hanging up really clean white sheets over specifically, can you tell Mercury retrograde is coming? My stutter is going to be out of this world for the next like 3 weeks, Pisces. Putting a very, very clean white crisp sheet outside over a clothesline. And I saw these big open windows, and I heard clean laundry, which is the antithesis to what? Dirty laundry. And Pisces, I feel like this dirty laundry feels as though it's in relation to shame or guilt that you were holding over things that someone else should have been guilty or feeling shameful for. I also feel like there is a tremendous history of you being so sensitive that you don't realize you are absorbing the projections of other people's guilt for how they treated you, other people's misdirected anger for like their personal choices. Your energy, it feels very Venusian. There's a lot of kind of like this Libra as the scales, you as the two fish, and fish wanting to like live and swim in schools, in groups, in community. And a lot of the energies that I'm seeing in your cards have to do with the rectification of relationships. And so that big clean laundry feels like your energy, your headspace, your heart is feeling more open, more at peace. You've surrendered a lot of unnecessary guilt or shame over things that you shouldn't have really been holding it for. It was someone else's burden to carry. I also think you've done a tremendous job with depersonalization, depersonalizing the ways that people have acted, the way people have treated you, and again, really leaving that burden to them and not taking it on yourself. So in that way, again, the head, the heart, the laundry, it all seems to be really clear. And I like the visualization of these big open windows, because that makes me feel like creative blocks, mental fogginess, like all of that is really starting to lift for you as well. Coming into your reading, I was also hearing something borrowed, something blue. Go into the chapel and we're gonna get married. So it's June, we're definitely in wedding season right now. So you maybe are about to get married. Congratulations. If you are working towards your nuptials, or if you've just had them, you might be kind of having weddings and commitments and ceremonies. Ceremony is really big in this energy for you. Very, wonder if you're coming back into like, I don't know, like a summer of rituals here. It feels very somatic. It feels very sensual. It feels like I want to go sit with the moon and light a candle and have a bubble bath and be really present in my experience. Like it feels almost like yourself again, like you're kind of getting back to you and your magic. And maybe that's part of this ceremony type of energies. You're recommitting to yourself, recommitting to who you actually are, and not how other people would prefer you to perform, But it also could just be wedding season. So you might be going on bachelor or bachelorette trips. You might be getting ready to go celebrate someone else. Some of you that are single might also be thinking about relationships and reapproaching love and sex and being social again for like the first time in a long time. The songs that come on the Shufflemancy for you were really, really interesting. The first of which was Happy Together by the Turtles. It's you and me and ba ba ba, no matter how you slice the dice, we're bound to be. That song. So Turtles are also really, really synced up with Venusian energy, watery energy. They talk about wisdom, they talk about longevity. And I think in this healing process, right, after you loved and you lost, after you worked towards and you didn't obtain, you had to work through a lot of shadow. You had to work through a lot of resentment, that which was truly yours, before you could displace and push off like what belonged to other people, and really learn about pacing and being in divine timing. And you know, I made a reference in a reading I did on Patreon recently about the sea and the waves, how you cannot pull the waves towards you because the water will just slip through your hands. And I think a lot of people have learned that lesson about you when they try and squeeze you too tightly. Pisces, you like a slippery little fish, pop, you'll just pop right out of their hands. But likewise, that if you are interested in love, if you are trying to manifest something, gain some abundance in your life, they're trying to pull it towards you like a wave. Again, you'll just have slippery, salty little fingers and nothing comes forward. So I think with that, the Turtles, I think you've learned a lot about pacing. I think you've learned a lot about regulating, a lot about patience. And again, all of that really adds to that feeling of clarity and having really clean laundry and the energy just feeling really fresh for you as we enter into the summer. And again, that's idea of like happy together, that there's a lot about rebuilding the foundations that you are setting up for a lot of your future relationships, or even trying to prove the ones that you have now. The first card that comes out for you is New Chapter, which I absolutely love. And it's card number 16. Now, 16 in the tarot does represent the Tower card. And the Tower, for me, it can speak of advantage points, perspective, but they also speak about a changing of management, the crown space, who's really driving the vehicle of our intentions. And so I love that here, like I'm seeing you taking both active and passive approaches, which is something that is really cool that I'm noticing in the mirroring of all of your cards today. And as a Pisces, right, you're not in the light or in the dark. You operate kind of in this middle space. And I seem to be finding you here, one, all in the light, but also surrounded by the intuition of these shadow cats. And so again, I think there's something really beautiful about your particular alignment right now in how you are very well illuminated. You're sitting on sort of the lighter end of the energetic spectrum, but you're also grounded, you're rooted, you're not apart from reality, but you're definitely diving into something significant here with this book. And with the Soulmates card coming up after that, I wonder if one, maybe you're reading some smut, maybe you're reading some romance, some love stories right now. She could be journaling in here as well. So there's also an energy of reflecting on old relationships, on old friendships, lovers, all of that to kind of, I don't know if it's to understand as much as it is to remember a part of you, Pisces, that maybe got lost a little bit along the way. Sometimes we are, especially Pisces, are just similar to Libras, are born lover girls. But over time, like life can bat you around a little bit and you get a little hard and you kind of forget how to soften. And we forget how buoyant and how buoyant we were when we were young and how full of possibility we once felt, right? And so sometimes through the process of diving into someone else's story, reading fiction, journaling about our own experiences, like through that experience, we can come to remember what it felt like to have a soulmate, to be part of something bigger than ourselves, to soften, to be really immersed. There's a big feeling of immersion here with these cards that is really gorgeous. And after that, we have soul sisters. And so I almost feel like there's something in this about you, again, maybe reading stories or novels or reading old love stories, monarchs, going through your own experience, that it's like you're kind of learning the secret art of lovers, what it means to be a lover, what it means to be a friend. And there's something about, I don't know, like this being proprietary information. Maybe you're reading like Lord Byron love letters or something. In your premeditation, there was also something about two books. One, The Yellow Wallpaper, that story of the young woman who, I believe she has postpartum depression, and she ends up being kind of quarantined in this room just full of yellow wallpaper for like, I think it's like a whole summer. It's like months and months and months. And then there's another story of like, I think it's called The Most Dangerous Game, where the humans kind of hunt each other. That's coming through as well. So there seems to be like this really interesting, it's a quite complex relationship workshop that you're in right now, where you're examining like the best and the worst of relationships, both through either through fiction or through your own experience, maybe mirroring them back and forth, using media, using literature, using the art of story to help you kind of psycho-spiritually process your own experiences. And I almost want to say like finish up. I just heard finish up the gumbo, to finish up the gumbo in some way, which is really interesting here. And in that, noting how loving and how vicious people can be, how we can treat each other, how we can be so immersed and so intimate and then be pushed so far apart from those very same people, and how it's so complex, the dynamics of our interpersonal relationships and how they play off of our own lights and our own shadows and what's going on in the external. Like there's just like a lot in there. There have been sonnets and songs and movies and plays written since like the dawn of time, right? Love and relationship in all of its forms is so deeply embedded in like the subconscious of humanity that it's like there's a lot of fun for you to play with here, in ways that feel very Neptunian and like creative and artistic and philosophical, but also in ways that feel very Venusian, very close to home, very personal, very intimate to your own experience. In a lot of ways, this energy feels like a marriage or an intermingling between Venus and Neptune. So I'm not sure if they're making a particular aspect or transit in your chart right now. It does remind me of not Aphrodite, but Amphitrite, who is considered to be Poseidon's wife. So there might be something about water nymphs, sirens, Poseidon, Oceanus. And Oceanus was a Titan and thought to be Amphitrite's father. So there's also something kind of, I'm a princess in a castle, right? A princess in a tower with that 16 in this energy as well. Having a sense of like, I come from really powerful people. I'm aligned with really powerful energies. But I, in and of myself, am still working towards unleashing that power in my own life. And again, in an exercise of humility and perhaps futility, having to accept and come to grips with times when that feeling of potential, that feeling of power, that feeling of love didn't fully manifest into a fulfilled relationship, into a full manifestation coming in, and having to backtrack and wait and do that work. And it's this really interesting commingling of discipline and devotion and pride, and also humility and patience, and it's persevere. Like it's really, you're like kind of really in the thick of it, but it's like you're in the thick of like the good stuff, like the best stuff, that it's like kind of the stuff that was made for a Pisces, right? There's also something really interesting about how much is around her right now, and yet she's so immersed in this book. Sometimes our inner lives are so rich, they're so vast, that even if like we look around us and nothing is going on, nothing is happening, and it's deeply frustrating, at the very least, like we feel very like full inside, and there's frustration in not being able to get like the fullness of it outwardly, right? But inwardly, it's like we're really filled to the brim with inspiration. This actually feels a little bit like the opposite. Like you've done so much clearing, so you've done so much aligning, all of the sheets are clean and hanging outside on the clotheslines, that it's like we've kind of stripped the beds, right? And so we have all of the pillowcases and we have the duvets on the floor, and it's like your environment is so full, but inside there's still a longing that we can't quite put our finger on. And I'm wondering if you might be having these moments where you're going, am I ungrateful? I actually feel like things are going okay. I have a lot more than other people have. There's a lot to be grateful for here, but again, I still feel like something's missing. But instead of beating yourself up about it, you seem to just be pushed into action. You seem to be diving in again to story, into the veil, into mystery, into your own history, like into again like these really Piscean things that are really beautiful. And I even love that these shadow cats are at the bottom, because it's the idea of, well, what is the shadow? What is the blind spot? What am I not seeing here? What do I need that I'm not feeling right now? It's so intimate. It's such good caretaking of one's own soul, I want to say. And this same row we have is cap-ended by knowledge. So I love that we have you here like on both ends with your books. And I love that for you. Anything that continues to bring you into your internal world, because Pisces energy, it only gets wishy-washy, it only gets confused, it only gets diluted when too much of you is in the outside world. So the practice of constantly coming back in, especially with this little blue cat who always reminds me a bit like Absalom, right? You're not quite the right Alice. It reminds you that that feeling of discontentment, it's not always a lack of gratitude. It's a deeper seeking of alignment. And so much here with soulmates, soul sisters. Your next card is Seeds of Love. That there is a deep soul feeling of my other, my pairing. It's like Noah's Ark. It's like, where's the other camel? And it wants to be with me. And again, this doesn't have to be physical sexual lovers, right? But it could be the idea of like, I know that I have a friend, this is going to be my best friend, and she's coming to me and I don't know where she is. Or this could be your magnum opus, a piece of art, right? A craft, right? Maybe you're interested in tarot or oracle cards or mysticism, occultism, right? Maybe it's spiritual. Maybe these are your long ancestors from the old motherland, or maybe this is deity work. Maybe you want to go back to church, you want to commune with the Holy Spirit or nature or a black cat in the alley. It's like, it kind of doesn't matter. There's just this feeling of like, I am a magnet and I feel the pull of something that wants to be connected to me. But I've learned from these lessons that again, I can't capture the waves in my finger. And so by the light of the moon, I have to learn how to be present. I need to understand the story of lovers, of soulmates. How do they come together? How do they stay together? And how do they protect it? Right here. How do they protect it once it does arrive? There's also something beautiful about these lunar energies here, Pisces. I don't know if you really like to work with, follow, worship the moon goddesses, mother goddesses. It is Monday as we film this. But again, as a Pisces, you are neither here nor there. You exist in the middle. So there's something interesting about these crescent moons that feel really significant as it pertains to your magic, your ability to manifest. Maybe when you pray or petition for certain things, that because you exist in the middle, that perhaps the new and the full moons actually aren't like your bread and butter. They're not really like your money makers, so to speak. But instead, to start minding the waning and the waxing moons, because those feel very much more in alignment. They're neither here nor there. They're just a piece, not the whole slice, right? Kind of just like you. So I think that there's something beautiful about maybe reading scripture, about having divination done, communing secretly with your spirits, with the universe, with yourself. That's when you do your manifestations. That's when you do your wishes. That's when you put the penny in the well during the waning and the waxing moons, which is so interesting here. Again, there is a lot about reading these love letters or something too. It's very romantic. The second song that had come up on the Shufflemancy for you was called Dream, by this creator called JGREEY and Zombie Juice. I'll list all of these songs for you in the description box so you can put together a little playlist to meditate or like vibe to if you want. But there's a particular line in that song says something about, I'm not going to live anyone else's dream. And I really, really love that. And again, it has this kind of beautiful spirit of independence. I also wonder if maybe there's a past life thing that's like coming through right now that like you're working through. Because again, that princess in the tower, it almost makes me feel like, I don't know, like an arranged marriage that like, it's not a love match, right? Maybe something like that happened to you in a past life and it's coming through and you're kind of researching like the science and the secrets of lovers here to, identify like what exactly is your dream. And with this dragonfly, you might be seeing more dragonflies and moths right now on the book. It definitely feels like there's a lot of spiritual help right now in helping you uncover what your soulmate is, your pairing, your magnet, whether it's again, whether it's a spirit, whether it's a friend, a physical lover, whether it's a piece of art, something that wants to come out of you, right? A new part of you that wants to emerge. I love the seeds of love down here as well, because I like that there's kind of, again, like this huge clearing, and everything has grown not out, but things have grown upwards. And everything's so foggy here. It's almost like a Sleepy Hollow type of energy, but these hearts are kind of growing on a vine. So one, there's like a, how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop? And there's also kind of a bit of a like Jack and the Giant beanstalk here. But in terms of like, instead of climbing this beanstalk, it's like we're climbing hearts. It's like we're climbing love. It's like I'm reflecting on my first crush, and then, you know, my first best friend, and then the first time I had a kiss, and then this and that. It's like almost like climbing up your own love story, taking notes that you missed the first time, feeling joy and pleasure in I don't want you to do too much limerence or get like lost in the loop, but finding like a lot of joy and pleasure and appreciation like after the fact that you didn't have maybe the first time. It's like, I think of, you know, when I dated when I was like much younger. And like, God, those relationships, they were always so dramatic. They were so dramatic, right? It was giving me a headache when you're like 15 years old. But like, I look back on it now and they make me giggle. What once gave me a headache, and had me crying in my pillow at 15, 16. Now it kind of gives me a good chuckle. And I go, wow, like, such an intense little lover girl, even from the beginning, right? Like, there's something really kind of quaint about that. And there's also a spirit of like investment here. You seem to be investing in the education of self, in the re-education of self. You seem to be investing in understanding how healthy relationships work, the special magic and alignment, special chemistry between you and the universe when it comes to making something new. And we have summer dreaming coming up next, which I really like, because in the seeds of love, 15 breaks down to 6, which is a very Venusian number of harmony, and 2s with the summer dreaming here, they talk about pairings, they talk about couples, they talk about community, balance. And I love that the summer dreaming. So I do think I think you're due for like an Amphitrite summer, very kind of whimsical, very sensual, very sweet, but also very present, very tapped in. And I love these cards underneath, especially with the kissing here. And just see how it's like her whole head. I don't know if you've ever had, Pisces, like a really, really, really good kiss before. One that like makes your foot pop. And when that happens, it literally is like the back of your head. Like everything just goes fuzzy, and it's like you're just right there, right? And like that's maybe like the secret of lovers. It's the art, it's the friend, it's the conversation, it's the idea, it's the prayer, it's that moment, it's the lover, it's the kiss, right? This kiss. Siri, play Faith Hill's This Kiss. But it's like it just brings you out of everything and it brings you right back here, like a really gorgeous way. And then we have confidence coming up next. And there's something about this investment and this was watering these seeds of love, whether it's through reading, whether it's through creating art, whether it's through going through your memories, journaling, like whether it's through communing with the spirit, like however it works for you, it brings you right here and it intensifies this confidence that you have in your magic, that you have in your sensuality, that you have in this kind of romantic rose-colored glasses, like the way that you view the world. And instead of constantly like wiping away the rose and like trying to like black them out, right? Like those big aviator, Tom Cruise, Top Gun sunglasses. It's like, no, I almost see you like throwing them away and putting on little sunglasses that have like little hearts on them. Really embracing this part of you, knowing that it too acts as a balancing agent in the world, right? Again, it's like that idea of Libra being the scales. You are the scales too. You're the scales fishes. Fish have scales, yes, but you don't churn in the realm of air. You churn in the realm of water, of emotion, of spirituality, right? You feel it. You know when your hands are wet, right? You know when there's sand between your toes. And I love in this confidence card that she seems to be like jumping or prancing. She has ballet shoes on. So again, it's almost like, and I love that it's right under the soul sisters here, because it's the idea of like, I don't know, double dutch, hopscotch, like playing jump rope. It's like, put me in, which I really like love. So I feel like in some way, I don't know, it feels like almost like a form of initiation into like a new sisterhood for a lot of you. into a new kind of spiritual community of sorts. It's really gorgeous, and there's so much blooming and blossoming down here in the lower energy centers, in the root, in the sacral chakras too. So I feel like as this happens, your energy right now will start to improve. You'll become more bouncy. It's like your buoyancy, your ability to flow and flap your little flippers, like that all starts to return. The story of the rainbow fish might also be significant for you. And the last song that had come on the Shufflemancy for you is a song called Another Time. It's just instrumentals by the City of the Sun. So maybe you're into like sunbathing or like really taking in like a lot of that gorgeous solar magic right now. But that idea of like another time when you were softer and again a little bit more buoyant and like a little bit more open, but now you have all of this gorgeous wisdom on top of it. And that in and of itself, while having to wait and be somewhat passive, is very much a blessing for you, because now you don't only have fins, you also have eyes, right? And the last card we have in part 1 is we have card number 3. We have self-acceptance. And here we have this gorgeous daisy. And I love actually how much more comfortable she is in this outfit from here as well. So there might be something about your style changing, you developing a different style, a personal style, maybe again returning to something. This feels very will you steal my sunshine? I'm a millennial, so it feels a little bit like the summer of 2004 to me in this card, but I think there's something about that I really love. She's got kind of this Nelly Furtado energy, but I think self-acceptance, you're realizing, Pisces, is really kind of, it's the root. It is the crux of how we are able to be in healthy relationships with others, with community, with our art, with spirit, right? With God, with everything, is the lack of a need to perform, the encouragement to be at home with oneself, the desire to be present in our experiences because our experiences are aligned with who we are and the goodness that we emit as people, which allows us to be more happy recipients of that mirroring back. I also love, I don't know, the flowers that you're growing in this final card are different. They're open. I can get inside the petals like a little bit more easily. So there's also something really interesting about that, the accessibility of you and how the good things in life are becoming more accessible to you as you make your way through this process. It's really, I mean, it's a delicious energy, Pisces. So I'm going to leave it here for now. I am going to go take this over to Home with March, our little Patreon family, and do an extended reading if you're interested in that. I love you very much. Thank you for being here. I'm so excited for how these energies are transcribing for you. If you need me for one-on-one readings, I am available. Make sure you check my socials and come hang out with me behind the scenes. All that would be in the description box for you. I love you very much, Pisces, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.